All right, y'all. Welcome into the LA Sports Brotherhood. It's me, Brian, here with my brother Matthew, and we're here with our second part into this deep dive of the Dodgers Yankees series from this past weekend. We talked about Teoscar Hernandez a little bit. If you want to go check that out, you can. It's on the channel. But today we're focusing on our ace of the future, the biggest investment in pitching ever made, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and his 7 dominant innings against the Yankees. Um, Truly, I mean, we have a lot to say, but Matt, I want to give you the floor.
Yeah, he was absolutely phenomenal. I mentioned in the recap, one of pretty much the only thing I look for in a big series like this is the pitchers, because as a pitcher I used to pitch at a high school level, but you still feel like you feel that the adrenaline, and that's why Bueller was throwing like 102 in the 2018 World Series. You really feel that, so that's when like these pitching stars are made up. So, and it's not the same environment, but it was really loud. It's a classic series, so and that was the hardest we've seen him throw in a Dodger jersey. And it is so nice to see that he has that extra gear come playoff time. And I mean, it wasn't just like, oh, he went from like 94 to 95. Like he was blowing a fastball by Giancarlo. He was blowing fastballs by Judge, and he looked. That's okay. That's the first thing I'll say is the confidence from his pitches. I absolutely freaking loved it. He was not scared to throw his fastball. The other thing is he kind of in the first inning he didn't really have his off speed, and he was still able to get out of that with the fastball. The second biggest thing was the slider. The slider looked phenomenal. He punched Giancarlo with it. I don't know if he punched Judge, but he got a swing and miss with it. That pitch, if he gets that, we're looking at like top two pitcher in baseball, because the fastball, which we can see could reach 98, one of the best splitters in the game, and one of the most unique curveballs. If he gets a sharp slider to get these great righties like Judge, Acuna, Giancarlo out, then we're looking at like an all time great Dodger ace, and
Mhm.
that's not even exaggerating. And we saw the stuff here. He didn't when he gave up 2 hits. This guy, master of control, incredible stuff. And I think you mentioned it in the past video. The only thing that could have improved is if you finished a couple two strike at bats, it would have gotten double digit Ks. That to me is still my number one thing I look for when I see him pitch is finish off some more hitters. That's the only really complaint I've had so far this year.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable. Uh I think the biggest thing that stood out to me, um, as you said, was how confident he felt, or it felt that he was. He was punishing people with the fastball in a way that I didn't think was not possible, because his fastball has legitimate life, but just that he hadn't done in the past. Like he blew Giancarlo Stanton's bat up, like the most pieces I've ever seen a bat break into, which I mean, sure it's an exaggeration because Mariano Rivera, whatever. He like that bat exploded. He was even when he wasn't striking people out with the fastball, which he did, which is something else that he hadn't done before. It was hurting hitters literally to make contact with it, just like shattering bats and hands. But also, it's just no hard contact. I'm sure there are stats on this. I actually wish I had them up. I wish I could find them, but I don't remember a single instance of hard contact against him. It was just clean inning after clean inning after non-stressful inning, and then even when he got the runner on against in the seventh inning, I was like, oh crap. He got the easy double play, pitched right to where LeMahieu couldn't hit it, which low key is everything in the zone. But still, like he just his prowess as a pitcher, like cerebral approach to pitching and just like knowing where to throw balls was perfectly on display. And then he had his best stuff of the season and his probably his best command of the season, at least in terms of like matching how high powered his stuff was. This was a glimpse to me into what we paid for. He's been good all year. I'm not going to pretend like he wasn't. He's been good all year. That's just it just he has. But today or when like that game on Friday, that was legitimately like, okay, this is when he takes that step, when he takes that progression, which again, this is his first year in the majors. It's going to happen. He's going to get better. This is they say this about Wemby a lot in NBA, which is true. Like, oh, this is the worst you'll ever be. This is the worst Yoshinobu Yamamoto is ever going to be in the majors, and he is a top 10 pitcher alive. It's it's wonderful to see, and I'll introduce this point. You can take it or take it somewhere else. But to me, maybe the Yankees had like a hot radar gun where it was like kind of boosting people up a mile an hour. But if that's not the case, this showed me that he has an extra level. When the playoffs come, he could have an extra level, and it could be for an entire start. It wasn't like the first and second innings he was pumping mid 98, like, oh, crazy. And then inning five, he was back at 95, 96. He was 98 through the entire game. He has an extra gear that he can get to, and he can choose when to get to it. And that to me is like the biggest sign of an elite pitcher, because you don't pitch 100% every single time you're on the mound. You don't pitch 100% every single pitch. That's what a lot of older pitchers now, when they talk about the Tommy John epidemic or whatever the hell they're calling it, is that the older pitchers, which I agree with, they talk about pitchers now not being able to stop themselves from going 100% effort on every pitch. And that's not really what pitching is. If you go 100% all the time, first, your arm's going to explode, because pitching is just the second you throw your first pitch, your elbow is never going to be as healthy as it was before. That's just what it is. But it also just, it doesn't lend to any growth. You can't change up your looks. Every slider is going to be an attempt at throwing your best slider. Every fastball is going to be an attempt at throwing your best fastball. And sometimes it gets a little upsetting when we see Yoshi just uh, dot one right down the middle, and it's a leadoff homer to some bad player because he tried to get one over. But in the long run, that is important, because if you have the gear and you can get to it, it's okay to take different pitches, not off, but approach them in a different way. And he has this max effort output where he's pumping 98 and holding it, which we saw in Japan. He has some stinkers. He has a couple stinker starts, but he also has a complete game shutout in the Japanese World Series. Like, he has that level. He has reached that, and I think we saw a little bit of it this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, oh, and by the way, it was four hard hit balls according to Baseball Savant,
Okay.
and I think it's funny that you mentioned the old pitchers, because if you don't know, he used to just throw complete games in Japan,
Yeah.
and that's not something really common in MLB. But honestly, it put it together to me when you said that. It's like I think he does have that extra gear, and in the regular season, he tries to throw as many innings as he can, which is why those, like you said, those leadoff home runs happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then once it comes playoff time, he's gonna hit that gear. I mean, this is a guy who's one of the reasons he signed with us was because he wanted to be on the biggest stage. He didn't say, yeah, I want to win. He said, I want to pitch at the biggest stage, and this was the biggest stage of the MLB so far, and he freaking showed out in it. So what's to come in the MLB? Because we've already seen just a big environment could tick up his velocity. He is a master of pitching, and he absolutely loves to compete. Those two things with his stuff, shows that he's gonna be a playoff performer. And Japanese World Series, World Baseball Classic, he's probably as experienced with crazy environments and big moments as a rookie could possibly get. So yeah, we were incredibly high on him during the season. This was the guy I saw freaking pumping a fastball right by the active leading home run hitter in the league right now in Giancarlo. Absolutely electric stuff.
Yeah. People online hate to do this because they want Yoshi to fail. His full season ERA is 3 on the dot, and it's gonna finish under 3, and that's great. But since Korea, which is an anomaly start, which we could very plainly say, his ERA has been 2.41, which would be top 10 in baseball. He's just been elite the whole year, and that Korea start is gonna be a joke for a lot of people, which is stupid, but it's fine. But I think worse is that it's literally a sixth of a run on his ERA, which is actually an incredible amount. Still, one start, that it's going to be a blemish on it the whole year. And at the end of the year, truly, I think we might be able to be like, oh yeah, he started 33 games. If you just take his last 32 starts, which means every start except Korea, his ERA would be under like 2.5. It would be like
Yeah,
2.2. It's gonna be something
every,
crazy.
every domestic start, like
Yeah,
it's
literally
gonna be
any start
stupid.
he made in the United States. Yeah. So Yoshi's incredible. I'm so glad we have him locked up. Great investment. And I think that start against the Yankees was just a glimpse into it. Big summer coming up for us, and a big summer coming up for Yoshi and the Dodgers. So stay tuned. We'll be back with some more. Peace.